Playing for a Future: The Necessity Behind Play for Impoverished Children by Kate Cox. What would you expect when you walk into a room full of babies? Normally, one would expect laughter, babbling, or maybe even crying. And yet, researcher Nathan Fox walked into a Romanian orphanage in complete silence. He later said that the most remarkable thing about the infant room was how quiet it was, probably because the infants had learned their cries were not responded to. After better understanding that these children were going through extreme neglect, this strange response made sense. It was because of the children's lack of normal social development and interaction with others, also known as playing. This is one of the widely studied examples of child neglect in Romania after the Ceausescu overthrow. Though the previous example was very extreme, in the United States it was found that 75% of children under 12 are not getting enough free play, and 65% of 1 to 4-year-olds experience a deficit of active free play. To some, this may not sound like an alarming statistic, perhaps because they do not assume play is an essential part of a child's development, like food and shelter. However, this sentiment leaves out the fact that humans are made for much more than just surviving, as Martha Nussbaum argues. Additionally, she argues that as humans, we have the ability to live a life that is distinct and complex. If children do not have the opportunity for social play, then it could have detrimental effects not only on their development, but also later in life. One group that is especially affected by this issue is impoverished children, who often have limited access to play due to circumstances outside their control. That is why social play among these impoverished children is such a critical need. Current conversations fail to adequately address and recognize this issue, making it vital to dive deeper into understanding how play can be accessible for all. So, what are the positive effects of play that truly make a difference in children's lives? Researchers have identified at least 3 main benefits of social play. The first benefit is developing communication skills. Since toddlers and babies are learning how to communicate over a long period of time, many child development experts believe that play is how infants and toddlers learn about their world. These children cannot yet speak, so their form of understanding is through play. In other words, play is their language. The second benefit of play is so children can better understand their world. Play is crucial when it comes to children understanding the world around them. This is because, unlike teenagers or even adults, this learning cannot be done through worksheets or reading. Younger age children have to use playing, like cooing or playing with dolls, to explore their world and learn from it. Furthermore, it has been proven by James Heckman's research on development environments for children that later attainments build on foundations that are laid down earlier. This means play also helps children to build on their previous learning to work up to more complex abilities. This progression of learning is important because it's what helps children hit their eventual milestones, like being able to go to school with others and interact with them. The third benefit is that play is very socially active for children, especially when it is with others. As we know, social play is completely different than children playing on their own. Instead, it emphasizes and grows a different set of skills because another person is involved. One way that social play positively affects children is that it can learn and master social relationships with both their peers and their caregivers. The U.S. Department of Human Health Services has said that when babies have opportunities to play together, they form early friendships. This proves just how elemental playing is in creating those relationships between peers and other people. Furthermore, the DHHS has said that babies who have nurturing relationships in their lives have better play skills. This shows that not only are these friendships beneficial to these children, but also help them for the future. The ability to interact with others, as many of us know, is a lifelong skill that is needed in many places like the workforce, school, and family settings. Unfortunately, without play being an active part in a child's life, their development and later success can be put at risk. These harmful impacts of restriction on play come in 2 main forms. The first being that without play, the positive effects that play encourages can be missed. As proven earlier, play is essential for children not only to understand and interact with their world around them, but also learning social skills. If these opportunities to play are not given, then it makes sense that these skills would not be as developed. Examples of this could affect many categories that play facilitates, like delayed speech, an absence of early friendships, and falling behind in social interaction. Additionally, because these children are missing out on the positive outcomes play offers, Heckman's research from earlier states that children who fall behind may never catch up. This is especially concerning when remembering many of the positive effects of play are closely tied to a child's success day to day and later in life. The second way play can negatively affect a child is through proven active detriments with a lack of play. A common example of these detriments is seen through the earlier example of the abused Romanian children. A similar study to Fox was done by Fraser Brown, a well-known child researcher, who focused on another group of severely abused Romanian children. In his work, Brown observed the consequences that resulted from the children who were severely deprived of play and how to best heal them through therapeutic play. He found that these children looked years younger than they were, had poor motor and fine motor skills, and were unable to have meaningful social interactions. These heartbreaking yet true consequences show the havoc children not playing has on their development and life. This proves how meaningful the ability to play is. That with an absence of play, there are real consequences in development, social play, and even physical appearance. Also, it is important to note that through therapeutic play, these children were able to learn the skills that were previously missing. Following this, Brown was able to draw the conclusion that most fundamental causal factor was undoubtedly the fact that these children had playmates. This evidence reinforces the necessity of play in these children to recover and is a warning for other children who could face similar challenges without play. While the harmful effects of play deprivation are clear, this issue is of particular concern when it comes to children affected by poverty. This is because these children face additional barriers to play, compounding their struggle in access. Children who are impoverished could face a lack of play for several reasons, but many of them are understandably caused by a lack of resources. Examples of these obstacles faced by impoverished children are not having a safe neighborhood to play in, having no children that live near them, having no playgrounds, and not having the ability to buy toys because money is tight. All of these situations are very limiting for these children and impede either the child's access to play or quality of play. Additionally, Stuart Brown, the founder for the National Institute of Play, writes that when these children do not play normally, they may have real difficulty joining with the human tribe and recovering from their experiences. That's because belonging to your own social group is a complex social and emotional learning experience catalyzed by play. This quote from Brown shows that not having the ability to play for these children is an extreme consequence, a consequence that can affect them for their entire lives. Not only does this affect them socially, but Brown suggests it would adversely affect them in recovering from traumatic experience as well. These profound consequences highlight the critical need for an emphasis for impoverished children having the ability and access to play. This in turn will help society to recognize and improve play opportunity so that this issue can be successfully addressed. After understanding how play deprivation drastically affects impoverished children, it is necessary to understand why this topic is important so potential solutions can be created. In my opinion, the most important reason that having social play should be recognized is because children are our future. It is critical to invest in a child's future because it is directly tied with our own. While some critics may disagree and say that they have no responsibility to help invest in other people's children, I would respond much like John Rawls suggests by looking at their response under the veil of ignorance. If this critic did not know what their economic status was, would they still believe in not investing in an impoverished child's ability to play? What if this became their reality? Additionally, if the morality of this cause is not sufficient, then I would cite again Heckman's early environmental research. This research states that by investing early in childhood, like by increasing ability to have social play, early intervention targeted towards disadvantaged children have much higher returns than later intervention. Also, the secondary message of this research is incredibly important. Heckman is pointing out that only having later interventions will not work. That because play is a skill that is acquired early, if society misses the investment period, then the margin of helping our next world leaders may be lessened. Next, in order to practically solve this issue, there are three main categories of groups that can help solve this play deprivation for the impoverished. The first is through the impoverished families. This would be a practical first step for fixing the deprivation of play because it would be the most direct way to help and use the least outside resources. One way parents can help their children make sure they have enough social playtime would be to educate them on easy and accessible ways for their children to play. By normalizing this learning, it would give these parents different ways to increase their child's playtime and raise awareness for the importance of play. Additionally, this knowledge could teach parents how to foster structured time and activities for their children to do. If we do not try and educate parents, then it is unreasonable for us to expect them to know how to try and solve play deprivation. But this form of help places a lot of responsibility on parents, and because of these families being directly affected by poverty, the solution can put a lot of stress on parents who have limited time because they may have additional jobs or housework. This is when the second group, nonprofit organizations, can step up to help with the deprivation of play. Nonprofits can offer something many impoverished families cannot, which is resources. There are many organizations that work by directly offering resources to impoverished children to increase their playability. One example of a nonprofit like this is Kaboom. This is a nonprofit that is committed to creating safe and fun play areas for children across the United States. Their goal is to solve play, space inequity by building local programs where children can have a space dedicated to them. Kaboom uses the help of community volunteers to help build these playgrounds. Through this company, the issue of not having access to play is being deliberately solved. With more nonprofits like this, we are one step closer to closing the play gap. The last group that can help with play deprivation is the U.S. government. The U.S. government can be an additional way to support these families because nonprofits may not have a wide enough reach. The advantages of the U.S. government stepping in is that they have even more widespread opportunity and resources than the previous two groups. The main way that the U.S. government can help is by working locally and countrywide in order to foster more programs that emphasize play. Though in some cases this may mean raising taxes since this is not built in the government budget. In order to balance out this potential negative effect, the diversity of this project could start small. An example of the government intervening in a simple way could be slightly increasing budgets for the local recreation centers so they can host more activities. By facilitating these opportunities for families, this would directly increase the amount and access young children would have when it comes to play. By the government working on this cause, it removed many barriers impoverished families face, like cost and easy access. Overall, though to some, the issue of if a child is getting good quality and quantity play may seem trivial, it is definitely not. Play, specifically social play, is an essential part of a child's development both so they can learn about their environment and others. Additionally, without this play, this can cause a child to have delays that affect them their entire life. Not only is enough play a large problem for children, but especially impoverished children because they have even less access to it. But through the help of the affected families, nonprofit companies, and the government, there is hope for a future where children are free to play no matter their circumstance. And if we choose to keep this issue on the forefront of poverty-related issues, we can save one class closer to a brighter future where all children are equal.